All right. I have a question, first of all. Who can you raise your hand if anybody in here knows who Jim Rohn is? Okay. So Jim Rohn, he was a professional speaker, a motivational speaker, a business philosopher. He was a lot of different types of things. And he said a lot of things that were very quotable. And this one pertains to communication. So I thought it would be appropriate for us. He said, take advantage of every opportunity to practice your communication skills so that when important occasions arise, you will have the gift, the style, the sharpness, the clarity, and the emotions to affect other people. So keep that in mind.
Yes.
On effective coaching, a level 5 elective, lessons learned is the title. It's 5 to 7 minutes, and the speech title is Lessons in Leading a Team of Volunteers. So he has here as an introduction, the project was to lead a team of volunteers for at least 6 months. While I had a core of faithful team members, the mission given to us evolved into an association-wide movement. What I learned in the process. Please welcome Mary.
As introduced, the object was to lead a group of volunteers. It was a very interesting experience. So I want to make a little proposal to you, a little trip in your mind. I want you to be the coach of the, and you'll know this is made up when I say the name, the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl this year. Now the object is for you to pick a team, an effective team that can win the game. Now I'm going to give you 2 choices, 2 places to pick your team. Number 1 would be up in the box. That would be all the 60, 70, 80-year-old guys. They're there, cigars, scotch. That's one place to pick. The other one would be guys on the field, the young, energetic, the muscular, the trained, the driven team ready to play that built their life around this moment. Now, which one do you think you'd pick? Well, here was my experience. I picked the ones in the box first. Nothing wrong with the first group that I picked. They're really great people. But kind of like the difference between the box and the energy on the field, they were really lacking that energy. They were great people, but it really wasn't going to work. And here's why. The first task I was given by the president of the association was to form a team that would put together a leadership academy at the association level. We have one at the state level. It quickly became clear, talking to our members, that we were nowhere near ready to do that as an association because things were somewhat disjointed. Have you ever seen a team of players that didn't want to play together? That's where we were. So we gracefully got rid of the people in the box, and we brought in some of the higher energy folks. I had a couple of younger people on the one side of the table, and they helped me put together the rest of the team. And we recruited a bunch of really energetic millennials. Good people, A personalities though. So you can imagine sitting around a table trying to come to a vision, because you know the one thing important about a group is you have to, number one, you have to have a vision. You have to have a vision that captivates the group and the people you're serving. And you have to buy into the vision. Because if one person sitting at the head of the table has the vision, but nobody around the table has the buy-in, it's not going to work. So we picked people through discussion and through interviews that would buy into the vision that we had. It's because the vision had to morph from forming this leadership academy to how can we take this group of 1,200 disjointed people, and it really wasn't 1,200 people, It was more like our committee chairs and vice chairs that were battling, competing, arguing. How do we get unity there? First off, I had to get unity at my table with all of these strong personalities. So how do we do that? Well, one thing I learned about leadership a long time ago is that a leader has to listen first. So I had to listen to people, in some cases, who argued with my ideas. Can you imagine that? But here's what I found out. Because of those young, energetic people, they brought up some ideas that I never thought of. And I know you're not going to believe this part. They brought up some ideas that were actually better than my ideas. And so we began to gel and decide that what was going to happen is we were going to form a meeting in this very room where we served everybody breakfast. It was great because the board of directors agreed to cook breakfast that morning. That was, to me, that was leadership by example. The top people had their aprons on and cooking, and they served the rest, the people that elected them. And it was a bit tense that first meeting. There were some things, we went around the room to introduce each other, and some things were said that were perhaps a little snippy to somebody sitting across the room, because we had the room in a big rectangle, so we were all facing each other. And there was a little tension there, but what happened is we had another meeting 3 months later, and instead of being very organized and driven, we wanted it to be organized. Something happened naturally. People from different sides of the room started to actually communicate with other people in the room. This is what I need in my committee. How can we help you in your committee? And they began to exchange ideas. And as a matter of fact, I got the word that they were actually communicating outside the meeting to see how we could function as a unit. Now, the other part of my project was to have a succession plan for someone to take over for me. Now, I'm a firm believer that you don't put someone in a leadership position just because you want to put them in a leadership position. They should demonstrate some leadership qualities. So for our first meeting, we decided, well, who's going to run this meeting? Who's going to be the MC, if you will? It was decided pretty quickly that it shouldn't be me, because I had run meetings for years for the association. People knew who I was. I was a teacher. I'd been an instructor. So we wanted a fresh face, but we wanted somebody who was a leader. And we found one young lady who was energetic, that player on the team, on the field, but had good leadership skills. She was very organized. I watched her run that first meeting. She did an excellent job. And even when things got a little tense, she was able to bring it back under control. I thought, this is my replacement. And as a matter of fact, she is now serving. She is sitting at the head of the table, and I'm sitting at the side. A relief for me, although she absolutely made me promise that I would not leave the group until she got her feet wet. And now we're functioning as a team. So it was an exciting experience leading this group, understanding that, number one, you got to have a vision, but the vision's got to be flexible. You got to have a good team. You got to have the right people on the team to accomplish the task. And you have to have a plan that's not going to have you leading the thing forever, to be able to turn it over to someone fresh. And that was my experience leading a volunteer group.
Let's move on to speaker 2. That will be Leann Nizzardi. She will be giving a pathway speech from the Motivational Strategies L2 Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring, and that will be 5 to 7 minutes. And the speech title is, I Didn't Know How Much I Didn't Know. And here is her introduction. This project is called Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. Indeed, I did not know what mentoring was. until I joined Toastmasters. It has been and continues to be quite a journey of self-discovery. Leann?
Good evening, Toastmasters. Yes. I have never had or even knew what a mentor was before I joined Toastmasters about 3.5 years ago. I have since learned that a mentor is someone that encourages you, guides you, and challenges you. You can have one mentor, or you can have multiple mentors. You can have different mentors throughout your career or your lifetime. I'm going to tell you about 3 people that I feel have been mentoring me. The first person is Linda Norris. Linda is my guide. I first met Linda when she worked, and I volunteered, at the Frederick County Office of Recycling some 25 years ago. We lost touch through job change, kids to raise, but we reconnected again at the Green Neighbor Festival in summer of 2018, and of course we became Facebook friends. And Linda introduced me to the world of everything environmental in Frederick County. She has helped me define my career path. Linda invites me, she introduces me, she includes me in all her connections and every meeting she goes to, every event that she goes to. It's really been a wonderful experience. A couple months ago, I saw a job at a composting company on LinkedIn, and I immediately sent her a text. Linda now works at the U.S. Composting Council. So I was like, do you know anything about this company? She texted her contact at, and I was able to send my resume directly to a manager. Now, nothing has come of that yet, but it was another connection made. Second is Beth May. Beth is my encourager. She is my go-to person for all things professional. I trust her critique and her opinions on my resumes and cover letters. I ask her all kinds of questions about being a career professional. And she answers with loving enthusiasm, never making me feel less for not understanding in the first place. Recently, Beth suggested a book to me entitled Expect to Win, to help me learn the art of self-promotion. My third person is Larry Riggs. Larry challenges me. He may not know that I think of him as a mentor. He's a very important one. I listen to his pearls of wisdom during his speeches or on his Facebook page. I especially like the one, "You'll go where you're focused." Keep that one in mind. But mostly, Larry does something I really need. He disagrees with me.
No, I don't.
As I learn to stand on my own and exhibit confidence I don't always feel, I need to learn to not shut down in fear when somebody disagrees with me. Very tough thing to learn at 52. I need to learn to not take it personally, and most importantly, I need to learn to argue back. And as you just mentioned, we're good at the level we are now. You do not need to increase the disagreement.
I don't know where we disagreed.
Unless you want to take an increment. So yeah, I did not know how much I didn't know, needed to learn, and especially practice in order to attain that career position that is going to help me be financially secure. But I am learning with the help of Linda and Beth and Larry. And now I can add my Toastmaster assigned mentor, Unu, to my list, who is not only a professional herself, but is interested in environmental conservation. And I am enjoying working with her. Thank you.
Going to move on to speech number 3, and that will be given by Lisa, and that is from the Pathways Dynamic Leadership Level 1, Researching and Presenting. So that'll be 5 to 7 minutes. The speech title is DNA Kits, Facts You Need to Know. Sounds really interesting. So I just took whatever it was, 23andMe, about 6 months ago. Introduction to what she has here. Lisa has researched the privacy and the psychological implications of researching your ethnic ancestry and connecting with long-lost relatives. She has uncovered some interesting facts she would like to share with you. Lisa?
DNA testing has become an intrinsic part of genealogy research. For $99 and a bit of spit, you can find out some information about long-lost relatives, your ethnicity, some interesting facts that you wouldn't necessarily have afforded to you. You might seem that this type of research is fun, simple, and no cares in the world. I want that list of 24 names or 50 names of people I never knew existed. Excuse me, but however, there have been critics of this consumer-driven genetic testing. And it's not because they think the testing is not done well. There are other issues. One of the issues is privacy. In 2017, the Federal Trade Commission had put out a consumer information sheet trying to educate people about their privacy, and that when they do get testing that on their DNA, that's sensitive information. And they should understand the implications of turning that information, such private information, over to a company. Now, one of the big companies in this area is Ancestry. And they all have privacy policies you have to sign, you have to click on, before they can process your DNA. Ancestry says you own your DNA. You own that information. However, buried deep within that policy, the 22 pages of policy, is this statement. And I like to quote it. I quote, "You grant Ancestry a sub-licensable, worldwide, royalty-free license to host, store, copy, publish, distribute, provide access to, create derivative works, and/or otherwise use such user-provided content." Unquote. In other words, you might own your DNA, but you have signed over the right that they can sell it or distribute it or use it in any way, shape, or form they care to. 23andMe also has similar conditions. But in 23andMe, they have something that's buried in those pages that states that no matter, they store their information in other countries. And that country in which they store it might not have the same privacy laws that the host country has, that your own country has. In other words, they probably don't have as much or as many privacy laws as the United States has. So before you click and say, I do on that privacy, you should really have a good understanding of what's involved, of what's going to be shared. Because hacks happen. It just happens. So you need to have that knowledge before you commit yourself. Now you might ask the question, or I would, why would anybody want my DNA? How is that important? Well, DNA is the holy grail of target marketing. Just think about it. If you could get the information on, just general information on someone's gender, hair color, whether or not they're bald, think of the great shampoo ads you could run. It would just happen. Seems kind of outer space, but not necessarily. And 23andMe and Ancestry collect data on not only your ancestry, but also about some medical information about you. So whether or not you'll develop some diseases, your propensity to develop them. Well, that's important information to various other industries. And you do not know if your DNA will be communicated to those various industries. Case in point, last year in Australia, a joint parliamentary committee convened that they were talking about life insurers. And they wanted to come up with having a life insurer have the information, the medical information, DNA information, so that they could either not insure you or jack up your premium rates. Well, the committee came up with a moratorium saying that they could not do that. They could not use that information unless the person going to be insured actually volunteered that information and was proving that they did not have a predisposition to that disease that they were talking about. Dr. Caitlin Curtis from the University of Queensland Biological Sciences Department said this is a case in point where technology is going ahead of the actual policy. There's one other section, the psychological issues that occur. How many secrets have been kept for decades? I mean decades in your family. You don't know. Ancestry has over 5 million subscribers. 23andMe, 3 million. Now, in that somewhere has to be a secret. You laugh and you think, it's not going to happen to me. It's just not. But guess what? It happened to me. Ancestry, I discovered I had a half-brother. Now, it didn't affect my family. We were all very accepting. Now I have new relatives. It's all good. But that doesn't necessarily happen with everyone. It can tear a family apart. So, with sharing this information to you, I want you to be informed, to know that things do happen, even you think, oh, it'll never happen to me. It can. So just be informed, and before you click that button, read the 22 pages. Thank you.
All right, so the table topics are an opportunity to practice extemporaneous speaking, impromptu, off the cuff, whatever you want to call it. It's unplanned speaking. So each speech will be between 1 and 2 minutes. And I've got 5 cards here with questions that I just pulled out of the box. I haven't even checked or read what they are. So a long time ago, I bought this box that literally it's called Table Topics. And it's got a real nice glass case, and it's just full of all these cards that have random questions on them. So it's great for us. But I just pulled out 5. So does anybody want to volunteer to go first? All right, Dimitri.
All right. Okay. All right. Which is more important, intelligence or common sense? All right. Let's start now. Okay. All right. So I don't really. I mean, yeah, like they're both important, but common sense, like I guess you use that more often because like when you're driving, you probably want to have common sense. So you don't hurt anybody. That'd be nice to have common sense. Yeah, just like not harming people. Intelligence. I mean, to get a job, you have to be somewhat intelligent. So I say that's pretty good to have intelligence. Like, I mean, you can't really go anywhere without intelligence and common sense. So, I mean, yeah, intelligence. Yeah. Okay, common sense. All right. I'm a little stuck here, but okay. Yeah, like to get like a degree in anything, have to be intelligent. It's always good to be intelligent because you use math, even though I don't, who likes math? Like, yeah, you still have to use. You have to be to be really good at it. You have to have intelligence. I guess to be good at it, all you have to have intelligence. So, yeah, common sense is, I guess, you talk to people, not to say something that will offend them. It's good to have that. Okay.
I think you can stop if you run out.
You can stop it. Yeah.
Oh, it's yellow, so yeah. Something else I should have mentioned, and you'll probably hate me for just saying this now, but if you don't know what to say, or if you want to just go in a totally different direction, that's cool. You can just repeat the question and then just go off in the left field and talk about something else. That's fine. So also, you don't have to feel obligated to stand here and fill the time. If you feel like you've said everything you want to say, you can just be done. Okay, so anybody else want to volunteer? Okay, the card.
Wow. What do you think is the ideal age? That's very interesting. I was thinking the other day that life is backwards. And this is the way I would have worked. Like, when you come into this world, however you come when you're really old, maybe you jump out of the grave or something, go, yeah, the sun is shining. Okay? From that age, you kind of start getting younger. Every day that goes on, you're getting younger and younger. So here you come out, maybe if you are in retirement, you go out, you do that ideal job, you work for so many years, after you're done working, say, I'm done with this. You either go to college, or hey, I'm back in high school. Do all through the high school thing that you do, you party and all that, and then you go back to being a little child, growing up with people in your neighborhood, just having fun, visiting with friends and family, just being a kid, learning how to ride a bicycle, enjoying the everyday things that everybody would actually do. And then eventually you kind of like get smaller and you become a baby. That's probably the best particular time. Because everybody loves you at that time. You're nice, you're cute. And the other thing is that you're not worried about death. You just kind of like exist and no worries at all. I mean, how a good way to end life, So I think by reversing life like that and regenerating and being the little young baby you are, and then suddenly you turn this tiny thing and you disappear. So I think if we turn life around that's kind of like the ideal way life should actually be. Thank you.
Our other guests would like to volunteer. Gavin?
Can be the question. Is there only one soulmate for each person? That's a good one. Well, I would say yeah. I think that the concept of a soulmate kind of implies that there's only one. You only have one soulmate. And there's always one person out there that when you meet them, you just know. It's hard to speak from experience. I feel like I've met mine, so it's it's hard to describe. I guess I've never talked about this before, but I believe that there's only one. I don't think there's anyone else. For me personally, I don't think there would be anyone else after her. Things didn't work out. But, yeah, I believe there's only one for every person. And I have a friend who is currently struggling very hard to find his. You could define him as a hopeless romantic of a sort, and he has had terrible luck with relationships, unfortunately. But I think you just kind of have to keep searching, because when you land on that one person, it's going to click, and you're just going to know that that's who it is for you. Kind of a tough thing to expand upon. I think I'm done. I don't know. That's a hard
one. Do we have time for more?
Probably one more.
One more? All right. One more?
Toastmasters call.
Okay. Who else?
The question is, what's the most amazing weather you've seen? I know why Beth laughed, because she is my mentor. And when I talked to her as the most difficult thing to be in Toastmasters was table topic. And it was because when a question like the most come out, it's very frightening because I don't have the most thing. But the weather that came into my mind was the weather yesterday. because it was raining but not very hard. It was a little bit of moist outside, and when I go out for work, it was like 5 p.m. and the sun was going down, and the sky was the blue became red, and the color was very wonderful. But what added to that was all the moist in the air, and that makes a very strange atmosphere that I felt like I was in a movie or some kind of story, that it didn't feel like real. And I really enjoyed that moment, and I was standing a little bit outside just watching the sky turning red, and that was the most memorable weather that I liked.
All right, so I'm going to pass it back to our Toastmaster for the evening, Jody.